All right, welcome back to the channel. Jermell Charlo wins over Cotto. Devastating fashion. Guillermo Rigondeaux put somebody flat on their face. And Joey Spencer, man, back to the drawing board, dude. It's too much too early. That's what we're going to talk about in this video. All right. Man, that was a great night of fights on Fox. Learned some very interesting things. The 3 fights that took place, that's what we're gonna do, is review these fights in this video. The first one, of course, we're gonna talk about is the headline, Jermell Charlo versus Cotto. Jermell Charlo, rather. Jermell Charlo is a beast, man. Loved what I saw out of Jermell Charlo. Hate the fact that it wasn't Tony Harrison. For the people that aren't familiar, this fight was supposed to be Jermell Charlo versus Tony Harrison in a rematch for Jermell Charlo's 154-pound title, which is now Tony Harris's 154-pound title that he lost. Jermell Charlo, lost in his last fight in a unanimous decision loss to Tony Harrison that I was surprised by, having watched the fight. Now, if people are familiar with the channel, you know that I don't typically argue and say that people got robbed. I just think that that's a bad practice because, I'm going to agree with the judges sometimes. Other times, I'm not going to agree with the judges. And I like to respect fighters to the extent possible when I'm talking about, the outcome of the fight. So Tony Harrison, although I scored the fight for Jermell Charlo, became the champion. But let me tell you, man, I do truly, truly believe that if that was Tony Harrison that was in the ring last night and not the journeyman from Mexico, that Jermell Charlo would have walked out of that ring with his belt again. And I think I'm maintaining that the next time those guys fight, that I believe Jermell Charlo is going to beat Tony Harrison. Now, the fight itself was relatively short and sweet. Very awkward. Cotto switching between southpaw and orthodox. Just a very, very awkward, funny style fighter that eventually Jermell Charlo, figured out knocked him out with the double jab, straight right hand down the middle, boom. Dude didn't know where he was. Dude didn't know where he was. Got back up. Jermell Charlo comes right back in with another straight right hand, right down the middle, boom. That's out. You get a Tyson Fury type moment. Matter of fact, it's the fight that was the other real fight on the champion, on that broadcast was Guillermo Rigondeaux. And I don't know who did the better job between Guillermo Rigondeaux and Jermell Charlo getting making their opponent do the Tyson Fury. We're gonna call that the Tyson Fury. When you get laid out like that, that's the new phrase, is the Tyson Fury. Because that's exactly how that cat looked, man. Eyes rolled in the back of the head and it was out. Now, one of the funny things about that telecast to me was that, what is his name, man? Joe Goosen was covering the fight with Lennox Lewis. Now, most times on these Fox cards, I actually call the fight or have a discussion about the fight ongoing on the channel, but I haven't done that for the last couple. Fights. We'll be back to doing it, not for the Jermell Charlo fight, but for the Manny Pacquiao fight with Keith Thurman. We'll be back to doing that on the page. But so I actually got to listen to the commentary this time, man. I kept the commentary up, and Joe Goosen and Lennox Lewis argue through the whole telecast, man. I find it real interesting. But in this particular incident, Joe, and this whole card for the most part, Joe Goosen kept being wrong. He kept correcting Lennox Lewis and debating with Lennox Lewis over and over again. Lennox Lewis said not too long before Jermell Charlo winds up laying out Cotto that he needs to come with a double jab and then let the right hand go right down the middle. And I don't think it was 30 seconds after he said that 1-2, boom, right down the middle, the dude goes out, man. Jermell Charlo wins in spectacular fashion. I was really happy that I was able to see that fight. I don't think Tony Harrison's going to beat him in the next rematch. I'm not quite sure how much. I want to believe that Tony Harrison didn't get out of that fight because he didn't think he could win, or that he thought that he had some minor injury, and you don't want to go in there with a minor injury and then lose your belt. Whatever the case is, I can't see him. I can't see him getting out of there with Jermell Charlo in the second fight, especially if Jermell Charlo is as patient as he was in the Cotto fight. One of the things that I really liked about him is that because this guy was fighting in the southpaw orthodox stance, switching between southpaw and orthodox, spent most of his fight in in southpaw. How patient Jermell Charlo was in finding his hole, and when he found his gap, boom, he takes advantage of it. Now that might not have been the smartest thing in the world to fight Jermell out of the southpaw stance, seeing as Jermell is constantly fighting the southpaw in sparring, which is Errol Spence, so he's used to that stance. But anyway, terrific fight. Congratulations to Jermell. Let's move on to the second fight. I got this fly buzzing around me. Ugh, man, doing my best to ignore it. Man, El Chical, Rigondeaux, however you want to say his name, man, he's back. Great, exciting fight. Once again, I was listening to the commentary, and it was so hard to keep my blood pressure down because I saw what Guillermo Rigondeaux was trying to do. Guillermo Rigondeaux, and he said it at the end of the fight, or at least the translator says he said it. But I don't speak Spanish, so I have to say that the translator said that he said it, not that he said it. But anyway, the translator said that Guillermo Rigondeaux said he wanted to go some rounds. He thought everybody he had his reputation for moving and running around the ring, so he was just going to stay in the pocket. He's going to fight this guy in the pocket, and plus he hadn't gotten a lot of rounds in his last several fights, so he wanted to get more rounds in, and that he did. I believe it was an 8 round, maybe like 5 to 8 seconds left at the end of the 8th round. Guillermo Rigondeaux hits this cat with a counter straight left hand, man, and wow, just good night, man. Good night. He had actually hit him with the same shot several times in the rounds before that, which really shook the guy, shook him with uppercuts, shook him with pretty much whenever he got a clean shot, he shook the guy, hurt him several times, but he didn't follow up during the times that he hurt him. He hurt him with some left uppercuts. He hurt him with straight lefts. Guillermo Rigondeaux, man, for the that is one of the hardest hitting cats in boxing with that straight left hand. But once again, like I said before, he makes his opponent take that Nesty plunge, makes him do the Tyson Fury, lays him out on his back. Now I also know that Deontay Wilder wishes he had these refs. Oh, the ref, by the way, for the Guillermo Rigondeaux fight, he was just a little bit overboard, man. This guy kept warning people for low blows that weren't low blows. Over and over again, the replays showed that Guillermo Rigondeaux and the other guy was continually hitting each other on the belt. Right on the belt, not below the belt, but on the belt. Very exact left uppercuts to the body by Rigondeaux. And the other guy was hitting Rigondeaux on the belt. But this particular ref was really, really, I think, just a little bit too active and breaking that up. But, it is after he winds up taking a point. I did like how the guy, when he actually did penalize, he penalized both people. Now, one of the things that the commentator said was that meant that it really didn't mean anything because they took 2 points, because he warned both guys or took 1 point away from both guys. That's not the truth. They got that much closer to it. He took those guys that much closer to being eliminated and to having the fight stopped or having somebody disqualified when you do that. But Guillermo Rigondeaux, it looked really good. For an older fighter, I do think he's showing his age. I don't know necessarily if it was just that he wanted to go rounds or he was trying to reserve himself and really didn't want to use his legs as much. One of the things, especially with little guys, my understanding is that they age a little bit faster than the big guys do. And also your footwork and your endurance and all that are going to start to go as you get up on 40 years, get up close to 40 years old. And that's where Guillermo Rigondeaux is. But hey, man, when you crack him like that, hey, great fight. Also, I hope he's now the WBC interim champion. I do believe at that weight, which is at 122. So we'll see, if he gets his title shot in his next fight, or how that pans out. So anyway, really great night for Guillermo Rigondeaux. The last one I want to talk about is Joey Spencer. I'm not going to spend too much time on Joey Spencer because I don't think Joey Spencer should have been I think that was the co-main event with Jermell Charlo. They're trying to build this kid up, man, but this kid ain't ready, man. I'm telling you, this kid is going to be good. He's having these 6 and 8 round fights on Fox, and I think that, I didn't really see what people saw in Joey Spencer before, but even though I don't think he performed that well in this fight, I do see what they see now. And the defensive slipping, he's kind of like a version of the fighter that he reminds me the most of is Canelo Alvarez, but with a skill level that is not anywhere near Canelo Alvarez's skill level at this point. If he's trained right, and if he takes more, if he's more assertive in the fight from the beginning of the fight, I think that, man, he would have showed out a lot better against his opponent. But he just didn't seem to have a lot of urgency about himself. Personally, I thought he lost. I think he's lucky to have walked out with that decision. I think the fact that he is the guy that they're building up went a long way towards helping him get that decision, because in my eyes, man, that other guy put a lot of work in on him. So anyway, I would just wish that Joey Spencer would get, better endurance for him to be that gassed in three rounds of. And he's not even throwing that many punches, but he just looks gassed after he throws 3 or 4 punches. We'll see though, man. Best of luck to the kid. Anyway, that's my thought on the fight card last night. And with that, I'm out. Peace.